RoadHouse, the remake of the old 1989 Patrick Swayze movie, just hit Amazon Prime a couple weeks ago, and I think that there are some fun things to get into in regards to this modernized version. Let's jump in. Okay, so right off rip, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, up until about a week ago, I had never seen the OG RoadHouse, and I can't really explain why. I grew up watching old movies, especially from the 80s. My dad would always show me and my sister movies from his childhood, or even further, things like Back to the Future, The Last Action Hero, Weird Science, and so much more, but for some reason, RoadHouse just got skipped. So when the announcement was made that we were going to be getting another RoadHouse movie, I knew I was gonna have to go back and watch the OG before I could ever watch the remake. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit skeptical. I was hoping that this wasn't gonna be another Point Break situation, and it wasn't. Unlike the Point Break remake, RoadHouse manages to keep the same story and modernize it with little changes that make a big difference. I think one of those changes is Dalton himself. This time around, Dalton is still a badass. He still has a dark past that he wants to leave behind, but the way that Jake Gyllenhaal portrayed him is way more of a nice guy than Patrick Swayze.
I just wanted to get you outside so I could ask you and your friends respectfully to leave the premises.
Patrick Swayze's Dalton was nice. He even had that as one of his rules when he took over Double Deuce.
In 3, be nice. If somebody gets in your face and calls you a sucker, I want you to be nice. Ask him to walk, but be nice. If you won't walk, walk him, but be nice. If you can't walk him, one of the others will help you, and you'll both be nice.
But Jake Gyllenhaal plays more of a softer spoken, doesn't want to fight type of guy, and it's effective, and it makes you that much more shocked when he does go crazy and starts beating the hell out of people. The setting being in Florida, I thought it gave a nice scene change and allowed a different vibe than in Texas like the original. And I also thought that it was kind of funny that the club in this movie is actually called the RoadHouse instead of the Double Deuce, but they threw a nice little callback to the Double Deuce with the restaurant that was next to the bookstore. The main villain in this story and his motivation, to me it was a bit cliche, but it worked for the story. Being a guy who is trying to take over this area of land, and it's the RoadHouse that is the last stand and in the way of him completing this goal, and that being the fuel of the feud. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that the big bad of the original movie had any more cleverness in his motivation. Now, talking about the real bad guy here, Conor McGregor playing Knox, you know, I'm gonna say it right now. Hot take, but I was not feeling it. Now, prior to watching this movie, the comparisons that I heard about Conor McGregor was that he was this franchise's Joker, UFC Joker. Why? Because he's a fucking lunatic. I hate that every time a villain is portrayed as crazy or just on one, it's always this franchise's Joker. The Joker is so much more than just a psycho. But anyway, I couldn't take him serious. The character, I guess, was cool in the sense that he was a badass fighter with no fear and willing to take on anyone despite him being eye level with a smirk. And on top of that, every time he opened his mouth, I thought he was gonna say,
"Hey, what's up, ladies? I'm from Saskatchewan."
His voice does not match his body.
I got a message for you from your father.
And I know what you're thinking. You wouldn't say that to his face, Jinx. And you know what? You're fucking right. Jokes aside, I didn't hate him as much as I'm leading on. He had a good build. He did look intimidating when he didn't talk. It was good tension, and compared to the tension of Dalton and Jimmy in the original movie, similar fight styles, similar builds, it was entertaining. The fighting in itself was cool in this movie. I think that the last big fight was my favorite, even though I wasn't always a fan of the way that the fights were shot. I liked the camera following, panning over every time that they threw a punch. It was kind of following this arm or that arm. I liked that aspect. It just felt super fast at some parts. But there was a moment where it shifted into Dalton's point of view while they were fighting, and I thought that that was interesting that they were able to pull that off, and it was a really good and smooth transition. Overall, I think it was a good movie. I don't know if I would go as far as to say it was a masterpiece, but it was good. It had humor.
Oh, hey, man, good to see you.
Dalton always trying to defuse a situation was hilarious with his jokingly sarcastic comments and responses, like asking where the nearest hospital is, or telling one of the guys, "Hey, if I break your finger, you won't be able to hold that gun," and then proceeds to do it. Knowing that this is a guy that chooses to remain calm because he knows that if he isn't calm, then he's dangerous. It works really well with the tone of this movie. In the original, from the jump, you know this guy could kick some ass. But in this one, there's a different kind of darkness that you can definitely feel. And man, when it gets closer to the end, you really start questioning whether or not this guy should be walking around free.
There's something wrong with you.
But that is where I'm gonna throw the conversation y'all way. Let me know what you thought of the movie, and let me know what you liked about the original movie versus this movie. I'm really interested to see the responses from people who have seen it. Make sure to go down and hit that like button for me. It helps out the channel. And if you're interested on catching my next video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you get notified and don't miss out. I will have my socials dropped in the link below. You can check those out. But for now, stay geeked up.